A village is under attack. Warriors with crude weapons of stone and wood try to fight off a monstrous beast, a massive lion, larger than any man had ever seen. Children cry. Mothers drag them into huts. Spears break against the beast's hide. Men fall one by one. Then a sound, clang. Metal striking metal, a spark in the darkness. From the shadows, a figure emerges, tall and burning with strange fire. In his hand is the first iron blade. He steps forward one strike, and the beast roars in pain, blood spilling onto the earth. This was the first time mortals saw iron, and the hand that held it belonged to no man, but a god, OGUN. An elder sits by the fire, telling children what the world was like before OGUN descended. Children, long ago, we were weaker than the beasts. We lived in fear. Our hands were too soft, our bones too brittle. The gods gave us rain, gave us sun, gave us breath, but no power to fight. Long, long ago, before iron ever kissed the earth, the world was a dark and dangerous place for man. In those days the people lived like shadows under the feet of greater powers. Their bones were weak, their hands were soft, and every day was a struggle to stay alive. When the sun rose, fear rose with it. When night fell, death walked freely. The forests belonged to the beasts, lions with jaws that could crush bone, serpents that swallowed men whole, and hyenas that laughed at human weakness. Men tried to fight them with sticks and stones, but their weapons broke like dry branches. It was not uncommon to hear the cries of a mother in the morning, weeping because her child had been taken in the night. Villages would wake to find one family missing, their hut torn apart, their footprints ending in blood. The people were helpless. They built walls of wood, but storms tore them down. They dug pits for protection, but the rains filled them with mud. Even fire, their greatest discovery, flickered weakly and died when the winds howled. The earth itself seemed to conspire against them. Storms flattened their farms. Floods carried away their children. Hunger gnawed at their bellies until their ribs stood out like sticks. In those days, man was not master of the world. He was prey to it. And so the people cried out. They gathered in the groves, in the caves, at the riversides, lifting their voices to the heavens. They offered fruits, blood, and even the lives of animals, begging, "Great Orisha, have mercy on us. Save us from death. Give us strength. Give us power. Give us weapons to survive. Great ones of the heavens, Orisha above, have you abandoned us? Our blood feeds the soil, yet the soil gives us no harvest. Our bones break beneath the weight of beasts, yet we have no weapons to fight. Our children cry for food, but our calabashes are empty. Every day we bury our own in shallow graves, and still you are silent. If we are your children, why do you watch us perish? If we are ants, then crush us quickly. But if we are men, give us the strength to live as men. Give us power to cut the forest that swallows us. Give us fire that the storm cannot kill. Give us weapons stronger than stone and sharper than bone. Give us a path out of this suffering, before despair swallows us whole." Some tore at their clothes in anguish. Others beat the earth with their fists until blood ran from their knuckles. The mothers held up their babies, frail, sickly, almost lifeless, and cried, "Do not let these little ones die before they have even lived. If you love us, if you claim us, show it now." Their cries rolled across the hills like thunder, carried by the wind to the ears of the gods. But the skies remained silent. The gods watched from above. Some turned away, saying, "Why should we waste our gifts on mortals who stumble like ants?" Others mocked them. "They are too weak. Let them perish, and the earth will be quiet." Only a few pitied them. But pity is not the same as action, and so nothing was done. Imagine the despair of those people, your cries rising like smoke, your tears soaking the earth, and yet the heavens refused to answer. Many began to whisper in their hearts, Perhaps the gods never loved us. Perhaps we were never meant to live at all. But among the gods, there was one who did not laugh, one who did not turn away. OGUN, the restless one, the fierce one, the god whose heart burned like fire in the forge. OGUN watched men stumble and fall. He saw a child torn from his mother's arms by wolves, and he clenched his fists until sparks leapt from his skin. He saw a father crushed by a tree he could not cut, and his jaw tightened like iron. He saw women weeping over blood-soaked soil, and he felt flames rising in his chest. When the cries of the mortals shook the heavens, OGUN rose from his seat, his hand heavy upon the hilt of his iron blade. His eyes burned like smoldering coals, restless, unyielding. He was ready to act. But before he could descend, the heavens stirred. One by one, the Orisha gathered, their forms blazing with light, their voices rolling like thunder across the skies. Obatala, the father of creation, stepped forward first. His robe gleamed as white as chalk, his beard long as the roots of an ancient tree. He lifted his hand to still OGUN and said, "OGUN, son of fire and iron, still your hand. The cries of mortals are loud, but their suffering is the weight of their own making. Do not forget they are meant to struggle, to learn, to crawl before they walk. If you give them too much, they will forget humility and rise against us." Beside him, Olokun, lord of the deep seas, let out a booming laugh, his voice like crashing waves. "Why should we pity them? Let them drown in their weakness. When they pray, I hear not devotion, but endless complaints. If they cannot fight the beasts of the forest, then perhaps they were never meant to survive." Shango, the god of thunder and fire, struck the sky with his staff, lightning splitting the firmament. His voice roared, "OGUN, brother of war, do not dishonor the council. You know what will happen if the mortals gain too much power. They will forge weapons not only for beasts, but against themselves. Blood will flow like rivers. Do not give them what they are not ready to hold." Oshun, goddess of rivers and sweetness, her golden waters swirling around her feet, spoke softly but firmly. "OGUN, you are fierce and brave, but your heart burns too hot. If you descend, you will open a path that cannot be closed. Mortals are fragile, yes, but they are also greedy. Do not forget, even a small taste of power can poison the soul. OGUN, do not interfere. If you give mortals power, they will use it for evil. If you place fire in their hands, they will burn the world. Leave them to their fate." The heavens rumbled as more Orisha nodded in agreement. Some whispered in fear, others muttered with disdain. And OGUN, standing at the center, felt their voices pressing against him like chains. His great hands clenched, his jaw tightened. The fire in his forge heart did not dim, it grew hotter. Still, he said nothing. His silence was a storm waiting to break. At last, OGUN's eyes began to glow, red like molten metal pulled fresh from the furnace. His great hammer trembled in his grip, sparks dancing around him, and he whispered, low but fierce, words that shook the heavens. "If no god will answer them, then I will." And with that vow, the world began to change. What happens when a god gives a people power they cannot yet handle? The heavens shook when OGUN descended. He broke the chains of the stars and carried fire with him. In his forge, he struck the first metal. Sparks fly like stars falling. Mortals stare in awe. The first iron spear pierces the hide of a beast. The first plow tills the earth deeper than hands ever could. A village is under attack. Warriors with crude weapons of stone and wood try to fight off a monstrous beast, a massive lion, larger than any man had ever seen. Children cry, mothers drag them into huts. Spears break against the beast's hide. Men fall, one by one. Then a sound. Clang! Metal striking metal. A spark in the darkness. From the shadows, A figure emerges, tall and burning with strange fire. In his hand is the first iron blade. He steps forward one strike, and the beast roars in pain, blood spilling onto the earth. This was the first time mortals saw iron, and the hand that held it belonged to no man, but a god, OGUN. The beast staggered back, its golden mane glistening with blood, its eyes wide in rage. For the first time, the monster felt fear. It lunged again, claws tearing through huts, scattering flames into the night sky. But OGUN did not move back. His feet pressed firm into the soil, his iron blade humming like a living spirit in his grasp. With each swing, sparks leapt into the air. His strikes rang louder than thunder, sharper than lightning. The villagers, cowering behind broken walls, lifted their heads in awe. "Who is he?" whispered a trembling boy. "A god," an old woman gasped, her voice cracking with hope. "No more than a god," said a fallen warrior, blood dripping from his side. "He is salvation." The lion roared again, shaking the very ground. But OGUN roared back, his voice like molten fire tearing through the night. With one final swing, he drove his blade deep into the beast's chest. The lion howled, shuddered, and collapsed with a thunderous crash. The earth trembled. Silence followed. Only the crackle of fire and the faint cries of the children remained. OGUN stood over the slain beast, his blade dripping red, the flames of his essence reflecting in every eye. "This," the narrator's voice whispers, "was the birth of courage. This was the dawn of iron." But the story did not end with the fall of the beast. The villagers gathered, slowly at first, then in waves, kneeling before him. Some stretched their hands toward the iron blade, yearning to touch it. Others pressed their foreheads to the earth, weeping, not from sorrow this time, but from awe. A mother clutched her child and cried, "Great Spirit, whoever you are, you have heard our prayers. You have saved us. Tell us your name, that we may carve it into the stones and sing it to our children." OGUN's gaze swept over them, the broken huts, the bloodied ground, the tears in their eyes. His voice, deep as a drum, rolled across the village. "I am OGUN. I am the flame of the forge. I am the breaker of chains. I am the path between man and power." The people gasped. Some shouted his name. Others trembled, for never before had a god walked so close, so tangible, with a gift in his hand. And then, something greater happened. OGUN did not keep the blade to himself. He struck it against the earth, CLAing, and from the soil, veins of glowing metal burst forth. The villagers watched as iron revealed itself in the ground, a treasure that had always been there but hidden from their eyes. OGUN raised his hand, fire spilling from his palm, and shaped another blade from the glowing ore. He placed it in the hands of a warrior. "This is not just for me, it is for you. But be warned, iron does not choose between good and evil. It will cut for whomever wields it." The warrior trembled, gripping the new blade, feeling its weight and strength. His eyes filled with tears. "Lord OGUN, we will honor it. We will honor you. Power is sweet, but too much sweetness rots the tongue." But in the heavens, not all were pleased. Shango thundered in rage. Obatala's face grew dark with worry. Oshun's tears shimmered like golden rivers. They had warned him, and now he had done the unthinkable. The gift of iron had been given to mortals, and with it, the fate of the world had changed forever. The camera pulls back. The village, once weak, now filled with firelight, and the sound of iron striking iron as the first tools and weapons are born. This was the moment the balance was broken. This was the night the gods looked down and realized nothing would ever be the same again. The villagers raised their new blades high, their voices shaking the night with OGUN's name. Fires burned brighter, and for the first time, hope glowed in their eyes. But in the heavens, the gods watched in silence, and in fear. Tell me, if you were given such a gift, a weapon stronger than stone, sharper than bone, powerful enough to cut through beasts and men alike, would you use it to protect, or would you use it to conquer? This was the question the heavens asked of mankind, and it is a question that echoes even now. The people cheer for OGUN, yet a dark shadow falls across the land. The people cheer for OGUN, yet a dark shadow falls across the land. Time passes. Men grow strong with iron. Forests fall. Rivers are bridged. Kingdoms rise. But soon, hunger for more land, more power, more glory consumes them. Two brothers once united raise blades against each other. The first war begins. Blood stains the soil where once crops grew. At first, iron was a gift of life. With it, men shaped hoes to till the earth, axes to clear the forests, and knives to carve wood and hunt game. Villages flourished. Hunger lessened. Mothers smiled again as children ate. The people built stronger huts. They forged fishing hooks, and rivers that once mocked them with their depth now fed them with abundance. Truly, it seemed OGUN's gift was salvation. But salvation has two faces. The same axe that cut wood could cut flesh. The same hoe that tilled the earth could split a skull. And soon, greed whispered into men's hearts. One village looked at another and said, "Their fields are richer than ours." Another pointed and said, "Their cattle are fatter, their women more beautiful, their land more wide." And so, envy became fire. Among these people were two brothers, sons of the same mother, warriors, who once fought side by side to protect their people from beasts. Their names were OGUN and OGUN. OGUN was fierce, proud, his voice loud enough to shake a crowd. OGUN was thoughtful, steady, yet ambitious in silence. Together, they had forged the first spears of iron. Together, they had hunted beasts that once terrorized their kin. They were the pride of their village. But pride soon became poison. OGUN claimed leadership, saying, "It was my strength that slew the lion, my blade that won us victory. The land belongs to me." OGUN's voice hardened. "And was it not my hand that shaped your blade? Was it not my mind that guided our people to build bridges, to tame the rivers? Without me, you are nothing." Their words, once warm, became sharper than the blades they held. And one night, under the same moon that once witnessed mankind's weakness, the brothers raised iron against each other. The clash was terrible. Clang, clang. Their swords rang across the night, sparks flying, cries of women and children echoing in the background. The villagers tried to stop them, but no hand could hold back men driven by pride and hunger for power. With each strike, the ground drank more blood, not of beasts, but of man. At last, OGUN drove his blade into OGUN's chest. A scream tore through the night. OGUN's eyes widened in disbelief as the iron pierced him. He fell upon the soil that once grew yams, and the earth drank the blood of its first war. The people wailed. Mothers clutched their children, shielding their eyes. The heavens trembled, and OGUN wept. For this was not what he had intended. His gift had given men strength, yes, but also the power to destroy each other. This was the first blood shed by iron, the first war born not of beasts, but of men, and it would not be the last. The blood of OGUN stained the soil, warm and dark, seeping into the earth that once fed men. The villagers screamed, their wails splitting the night. Mothers clutched their children. Fathers fell to their knees in despair. But OGUN, standing over his fallen brother, raised his blade high and shouted, "Let all who stand against me meet the same fate." And in that moment, iron claimed its first victim and its first tyrant. OGUN seized power, declaring himself king. He forged more weapons, forcing men to mine the earth for iron and shape it into swords, spears, and arrows. The neighboring villages, once allies, looked on with fear. Some submitted, bringing tribute of yams, goats, and women. Others defied him, and when they defied him, war followed. Spears of iron clashed in the moonlight. Shields split like palm fronds. Fields once golden with harvest became black with ash. The fire of iron spread. Women wept as their homes burned. Some were dragged into slavery, their cries echoing in the night. Children hid beneath broken huts, trembling as warriors fought above their heads, the sound of steel ringing like thunder. No longer were battles fought with stones and wood. Now, every clash left rivers of blood. The first armies were born, the first captives taken, the first songs of mourning carried from village to village. And the gods watched. Shango's eyes flashed with pride and fury as thunder split the skies. OGUN laughed, waves crashing against distant shores, as though mocking mankind's suffering. Oshun wept, her golden tears running into the rivers, turning them bitter with sorrow. But OGUN stood apart. His heart, once burning with defiance, now trembled with grief. He had given mortals a gift to defend themselves, to break their chains of fear. But instead, they forged chains for each other. The war grew. Village after village joined in. Some sought revenge, others sought glory, others only fought because they feared being conquered if they did not strike first. The sound of iron echoed across the land like a new drumbeat, the drum of war. And soon, the soil of the earth drank so much blood that crops refused to grow. Fields rotted. Famine walked hand in hand with war. The people had prayed for deliverance. They had prayed for power. But now, they prayed for peace. And peace did not answer. And so, the gods' warning came true. For with iron, man built. But with iron, he destroyed. Thus, the gift of OGUN spread like fire, warming some, burning others. And mankind learned the truth. The greatest enemy was no longer the beasts of the wild, it was themselves. The cries of war rose to the heavens. The smoke of burning villages curled into the sky like black offerings, staining the clouds. Blood soaked the earth, and the gods could no longer remain silent. A great council was called. In the golden hall of the heavens, the Orisha gathered, their voices like storms, their eyes blazing like suns. Obatala, father of creation, stood first. His white robe gleamed with the purity of chalk, yet his face was heavy with sorrow. OGUN, he said, his voice deep as the roots of mountains, you have broken the balance. You descended without the blessing of the council. You placed iron in mortal hands. And now, see what they have done, brother against brother, blood upon blood. Is this the salvation you promised? OGUN stood tall, his skin glowing like smelted steel, his blade humming with power. His eyes did not lower. I gave them a weapon to survive. I gave them fire to fight beasts and storms. If they turn it against each other, is it my gift to blame, or the darkness already in their hearts? The hall erupted. Shango, thunder flashing in his eyes, slammed his staff against the clouds. You fool! You blind blacksmith! Iron was never meant for weak hands. You gave children fire and wondered why they burned their homes. OGUN, lord of the seas, his voice a rolling tide, sneered. Let them drown. Let their kingdom sink beneath the waves. If they crave blood, then I will give them oceans of it. Oshun, tears shimmering like golden rivers, raised her hand. Her voice was soft, but it cut deeper than any blade. OGUN, I warned you. Men are fragile. You gave them strength without wisdom. You gave them hunger without restraint. Look below, women weep, children starve. The rivers themselves are stained with blood. How long before even the earth turns against them? OGUN's jaw tightened. His voice rose like hammer on anvil. Enough! Do you sit in the heavens and laugh while mortals die? Do you feast on sacrifices and praise while men are devoured by beasts? I gave them iron to stand, not to crawl. You call me reckless, but tell me, who among you answered their prayers when they cried? Who among you came down when they begged for mercy? None. I alone heard their voice. The heavens shook with his words. Silence fell, for though the Orisha were mighty, none could deny OGUN's truth. But Obatala spoke again, his voice grave. Your defiance has planted a seed, OGUN, and seeds grow. Today, iron cuts lions. Tomorrow, it will cut nations. One day, perhaps, it will even rise against the gods themselves. Do you not fear what you have unleashed? OGUN's eyes burned brighter, his hand gripping his blade. I do not fear what men will become. I fear what they will remain. If left weak forever, let them rise, let them fall, but let them choose their path with iron in their hands. And you, who listened to this tale, what do you think? Should the gods have left men weak, crawling in the dirt, hiding from beasts? Or was OGUN right to give them strength, even if that strength brought blood? Would you, in his place, have given the gift, or kept it locked away? The hall of the Orisha roared again, each voice a storm, each word a weapon. The fate of man trembled not only in the hands of mortals, but in the hands of the gods themselves. And the question remained, would the Orisha punish OGUN, or would they punish mankind? Then, other gods rise in fury. The god of water lifted his hands, and the seas obeyed. Waves rose, and rivers burst their banks, rushing across the land to drown the forges of men. Flames hissed, iron cooled, smoke swallowed the skies. The god of fire roared, his voice shaking the heavens. He reached into the forges and tried to melt every blade back into useless lumps. Rivers of molten iron flowed, threatening to consume the very villages that once worshipped OGUN. The god of wind swept in with furious gales. He scattered the coals of the smiths, snuffed out their embers, and sent sparks flying into the night. Hammers fell silent. The land quaked under his storm. But OGUN would not surrender. He raised his hammer, muscles rippling like iron itself. His eyes burned with fire no god could quench. Each time they struck, he answered with his hammer. Sparks flew into the heavens. His blade cut through storms. His forge burned hotter than divine fire. The clash shook the world. Mortals fell to their knees, torn between awe and terror, for in OGUN's defiance, they saw both salvation and doom. At last, the Orisha gathered in judgment. Their voices became thunder rolling across creation. OGUN shall never know peace. His gift shall curse him. He will walk between madness and divinity. His name shall be worshipped and feared. The skies fall silent, the flames dim, and yet the earth trembles beneath the weight of their words. But tell me, if a god suffers for the sake of man, is it truly a blessing he has given, or a curse he has unleashed? The world had changed. Iron had lifted mortals from weakness to strength, but the cost was high. OGUN stood alone at the edge of the forest, his hammer stained with the sparks of countless battles. His gift, the gift of iron, was now drowning the land in blood. Villages once united were now divided. Brothers struck down brothers. Kings waged endless wars, their swords never resting. And the cries of widows and orphans rose higher than the smoke of the forges. The Orisha's judgment echoed in his ears. OGUN shall never know peace. His gift shall curse him. He will walk between madness and divinity. His name shall be worshipped and feared. At first, OGUN fought to silence their words. He wandered from village to village, teaching blacksmiths, showing warriors how to wield their blades with honor. But everywhere he went, death followed. When a king built iron walls, his enemies tore them down with greater iron. When a hunter forged sharper arrows, the forest beasts grew more ferocious. The balance of the world was broken, and the people began to whisper, Perhaps OGUN has cursed us. The burden was too great. The god of iron's mind began to crack. Some say he wandered into the deepest forests, his hammer in hand, muttering to himself. Others swear they saw him drenched in blood, unable to tell whether he struck down man or beast. One night, when the moon was red, a village saw OGUN descend in fury. His eyes burned like fire. His voice thundered like war drums. "You wanted my gift? Then feel its weight." He struck the earth with his hammer, and the ground split open. Flames roared from the cracks. Spears shattered. Warriors trembled. Women clutched their children, praying for mercy. Then, as suddenly as he came, OGUN vanished into the shadows of the forest, leaving behind silence, smoke, and fear. From that day, mortals no longer saw OGUN as just a savior. He was both protector and destroyer. In times of war, they called on him for victory. In times of harvest, they begged him not to curse their fields with fire. In times of peace, they feared his restless spirit might return. And so, shrines were built. Priests sacrificed dogs and roosters, their blood spilled to calm his rage. Hunters prayed before the hunt. Smiths poured palm wine on the earth before striking iron, and warriors whispered his name before battle. Yet the fear remained. Would OGUN's blessing save them or destroy them? And so I ask you, children of today, if you held a gift so powerful that it could protect your people, but also destroy them, would you keep it or would you let it go? OGUN walks the earth. Sometimes he is kind, teaching blacksmiths, blessing warriors, guiding farmers. Other times, madness seizes him. He flees into the forest, blood dripping from his blade. His eyes burn like molten iron. The people pray, "OGUN, forgive us. OGUN, bless us. OGUN, spare us." His presence is both salvation and terror. Even now, blacksmiths whisper his name with every strike of the hammer. Warriors call to him before battle. Farmers honor him before they cut the earth. As time passed, the world began to bend itself around OGUN's gift. Iron was everywhere now. The soil bled with it. The forests echoed with the clang of hammers, and the sky carried the smoke of forges like endless clouds. But with iron came fear, for men remembered the rage of OGUN, the god who gave them this gift, and the curse that followed it. Villages across the land built shrines in his honor. In the heart of every town, a space was cleared where iron tools were laid on sacred altars. Blacksmiths, his children, became priests of fire. They poured palm wine on the ground before striking their anvils, whispering, "OGUN, owner of the path. OGUN, father of iron, bless our hands." Hunters tied charms of iron to their spears and prayed before entering the forest. "OGUN, clear the thorns before me. Keep death behind me. May my arrow fly true." And warriors before battle would kneel, pressing their blades to the earth, calling out in trembling voices, "OGUN, stand with us. Do not turn your face away. May our enemies fall, and may our blood not stain the soil today." Yet for every prayer of devotion, there was also fear. Mothers warned their children, "Do not mock the smith's fire, for OGUN watches." Elders whispered, "Do not cross the iron path, lest OGUN claim you." When crops failed, they said OGUN had turned his face. When a warrior died young, they said OGUN had drunk his blood. Even kings bowed their crowns before his name. And so, sacrifices became common. Roosters, goats, even dogs. Their blood spilled to quench OGUN's hunger, their cries rising into the night sky. Villagers believed that only through blood could OGUN's fury be silenced. Iron became life itself. Farmers cleared vast lands with iron hoes, roads were carved through thick forests, and kingdoms rose higher and stronger than before. But the shadow of OGUN was always there in every hammer strike, in every spark that leapt from fire, in every blade raised in battle. Mortals lived, prospered, and conquered, but always with one truth burned into their hearts. Without OGUN, there was no path. With OGUN, there was no peace. And so, children of today, can a people truly thrive when their greatest blessing is also their deepest curse? Can love and fear live side by side in the heart of man? The flames dance higher, the night grows darker, and OGUN's name lingers like thunder on the lips of all who dare to whisper it. As centuries passed, the world changed, but OGUN's name did not fade. From the deep forests of the Yoruba lands, his worship spread across kingdoms. Every forge was his temple, every blacksmith was his priest, every drop of blood spilled in sacrifice was an oath renewed. In Oyo, in Ife, in Ijebu, shrines of OGUN stood tall. Hunters carried his iron charms into the wild. Warriors painted their bodies with red, symbol of blood and fire, before calling his name. Palm wine flowed onto the earth at his altars. Roosters, goats, and dogs were laid before him, their blood spilling to calm his restless spirit. Elders would say, "Without OGUN, there is no road. Without OGUN, no kingdom can rise. He is the path itself." But the story did not end in Africa. When storms of slavery scattered African sons and daughters across oceans, they carried OGUN with them. His spirit traveled in chains, hidden in the hearts of men and women who refused to forget. In the Americas, he was reborn. In Brazil, OGUN became Ogum, the fiery god of war and iron honored in Candomblé. In Haiti, he rose as Ogu, fierce and unyielding, protector of warriors in Vodou. In Cuba, under Santeria, he lived on as OGUN, the Orisha of tools, iron, and revolution. Wherever the hammer struck, wherever the blade was lifted, his name was whispered. Across continents, across centuries, OGUN remained unbroken. Even now, in modern times, his spirit is alive. Blacksmiths in hidden villages still pour palm wine before striking iron. Priests in Brazil still drum his name into the night. In Haiti, revolutionaries once called to him for freedom. But the fear never left. For OGUN is not a gentle god. He demands respect, sacrifice, and blood. Those who forget often pay with their lives. The world remembers him not just as a creator, but as a force of war, a god who cannot be tamed. But remember this, children, no gift from the gods comes without a price. Iron gave men power, but it also chained OGUN to madness. And while men built shrines and spilled blood in his honor, the other Orisha did not sleep. The ground rumbles faintly, as though echoing the words. They watch the rise of kingdoms, the burning of forests, the endless rivers of blood. They saw iron become the new heartbeat of the earth, and they whispered among themselves. Thunder rolls across the night sky. The fire flares. Shall one god's gift drown the world in war? Shall OGUN's iron alone rule creation? And so, the heavens stirred. The gods began to gather. The drums of war echoed across the unseen. Brothers would turn against brothers, gods against gods. The world would tremble not by the hand of man, but by the wrath of the divine. The fire snaps, throwing sparks into the dark. The voice drops to a whisper, chilling final. This is where the true story begins. The War of the Gods. This is the story of how OGUN's gift shaped the destiny of men. A gift of creation, a curse of destruction. But what the people did not know was that the War of the Gods had only just begun. For the gift of one god would awaken the jealousy of others, and soon a storm greater than any before would fall upon mankind. The War of the Gods, coming in the next tale. Subscribe to TALESTORY-HUB to hear the rest of the story.